Hey, everybody. How's it going? Mr. Clinton's grabbing my arm. You see his paw? Actually, you can't because it's covering. See, his paw is actually all the way going around my arm right over here. Good boy. My Clinton loves me. Every single day, I kind of see a new article that makes it obvious that people are just kind of growing weary of certain pandemic restrictions or measures. And this is one article from Bloomberg that started to make this obvious. Fears UK public may be deleting COVID app to avoid isolating. And over here, you see a picture. This is the COVID app. It says, you need to self-isolate until this day, and it has a giant red circle that tells you how many days until you are free again. And it's just kind of weird because the way that this works is, they know who you are based on your phone, they know where you are based on location, and if you keep, I think, Bluetooth or Wi-Fi or something on your phone, it can tell when you're near other people, so it knows when you're near other people, and then it logs all that, and then if one of those people they find out had COVID, they will look through the database, see that it was, you're one of the people that needs to self-isolate. It's kind of strange. It's like, I get it that there's no such thing as privacy in 2021, and I get that people are voluntarily using this. It's weird to have it tossed out like that. I don't know. There's just something about it that just kind of sends a chill up my spine. But, it is a sensible app if you want to be able to tell if you were near someone that had COVID so that you know if you should do something about it early on, that does make sense. It makes sense. It just doesn't make the tingling feeling leave my spine at all, is what I'm saying. So it says politicians and scientists in the UK are concerned that people are deleting the official COVID-19 mobile phone app, or at least switching off its tracing function, to avoid having to self-isolate. An opinion poll by Savanta Cameras released this month found that a third of 18 to 34-year-olds in the UK have deleted the app, having previously downloaded it. Jenny Harries, head of the UK Health Security Agency, told members of Parliament that she was aware that people are choosing not to use the app. The government is also planning to exempt anyone who's fully vaccinated from August 16th. That seems a bit late. Yet, the recent rate of growth in app alerts has been slower than the increase in COVID-19 infections. That stirred warnings that amid the growing furor about a pingdemic and its impact on key industries, more people are simply disabling a key part of the app that government and health experts say is critical to halting the spread of the disease. Let's go over that a little bit. So the rise in alerts does not seem to be matched to the rise in cases. So people are seeing that the cases are rising far slower than the actual pings in the app, which means that there may be certain false positives in the app because they've set this up too sensitively. And if they set it up too sensitive and people are seeing that the cases don't seem to be going up as quickly as the app is pinging people saying you need to self-isolate, they're probably just thinking, well, screw this, I'm not staying home for nothing. And one thing that's particularly interesting is they're planning to exempt people who are fully vaccinated from August 16th instead of from the moment vaccines were available. Again, if this is just my personal opinion, I got COVID, I beat COVID, and I got vaccinated. Again, I'm not anti-vaccine. Again, what people say in the comments and what I do personally are two very fucking separate things. I got my vaccine, and I got COVID, and I beat COVID. So if my phone pings me and says you were near someone with COVID, I'm uninstalling whatever that is because I don't care. I got COVID, I beat it, I got vaccinated, I got both doses, I'm done. And I think that there are a lot of people that are probably thinking the same thing. Also, one thing to consider is if it is responsible for these false positives where it's telling people you should self-isolate at a far greater rate than the actual COVID cases going up in the country, that could potentially cause a labor shortage. And you see people complaining about this, saying that we already have labor shortages that we're worrying about for other reasons, particularly in America and in the UK. But now we also have this app is pinging a bunch of people and telling them to stay home when they may not have even gotten close enough to someone who has COVID to actually get COVID. That's going to screw up a lot of essential industry in the country. That's going to screw up food supply. It's going to screw up a lot of essential services if the people that provide those essential services are staying home because their phone got a ping. It isn't rocket science. If you're asking people to do something that's difficult for them, guess what? They're not going to do it, said Henry Potts, a professor at University College London who specializes in health data. Isolating is difficult. It's inconvenient. For some people, it's very difficult. Correct. The whole point about self-isolation is that we are protecting wider society, and I think people should be following the rules, Business Secretary Kwasi Kwarteng told Sky News on Thursday, calling it a real shame if people are deleting the app. And again, you call me an asshole after getting COVID, beating COVID and having antibodies, and getting the vaccine if my phone pings me and says, Lewis, you have to stay home for the next 6 days, and then we will let you go outside again, I'm going to tell that app on my phone to go fuck itself, as I imagine most people will. This is something that's not really just happening in the UK. It appears to be happening in Australia as well. So also in the news, anti-lockdown protesters attack police in virus-weary Australia. More than 50 people charged with offences in Sydney. Minister, government advises adults in hotspots to use AstraZeneca shot. So in this article, it says that more than 50 people are charged with offenses. What we saw today were 3,500 very selfish boofheads, he said, using local slang for fools. These are the sort of people who are going to prolong this lockdown. Now, on one hand, I get what they're saying, which is that if people would just stay home, that we wouldn't have to worry about rising COVID cases, that this wouldn't be happening. You're making the lockdown longer by being selfish. However, last year, there was a very, very, very strict lockdown in Australia that lasted for several months. It was long, it was painful, it was brutal. And the whole idea is, well, we did it, so now we're good. Now we're out of lockdown and we won't have to do it again. And people said, well, in my country, we did a lockdown that was much more strict than what you did in your city. So we're done. Now we don't have COVID and it's not something we have to deal with. LOL. I mean, it's been about, 9, 12 months since that happened. And now there's another one. So we have 2 weeks to slow the spread. Then we have, okay, we're going to have a 3-month lockdown. Now, I mean, it's been what, like 16, 17 months at this point? I mean, it's been 16 months. At this point, this is why I think you are having crowds of people in the street, as you could see in this picture, that are just kind of saying, fuck this. And I can understand their concern. It's been 16 months at this point. There really is a question at that point of how long are we going to allow seeing a small uptick in COVID cases in a post-vaccinated society to dictate our lives and to dictate whether we can or can't go places. Again, it's one thing in the beginning to do what you can. It's been 17 months at this point. New South Wales reported 163 cases in the community Saturday and confirmed the death of a man aged in his 80s in southwest Sydney on Friday. Infections have reached 1,940 cases since the outbreak began in mid-June. So they're talking about a lockdown, and the thing here that gets me is they didn't confirm deaths. They confirmed death. And again, every death is a tragedy. I truly feel bad for this person in their 80s that died. But they confirmed a singular death. And you have thousands upon hundreds of thousands of people locked down over a death. Australia's government plans to set new vaccination targets that would allow the country to respond to future coronavirus outbreaks without restrictive lockdown measures, according to Prime Minister Scott Morrison. And again, in my opinion, it's 16 to 17 months into this. I mean, I don't think people are particularly willing to wait anymore. We'll be setting these targets in the weeks ahead based on the best possible medical, scientific, and economic evidence, Morrison said. Data on serious illness, hospitalization, and fatalities will guide future decision-making rather than case numbers. And unvaccinated residents may be subject to different measures than those who've received inoculations. I agree with the idea. Let's choose policy based on serious illness and hospitalization and fatalities, not simply cases. Because again, once we're at a point where vaccines are freely available to anybody who wants them, a lot of people that are actually getting COVID are getting very, very, very mild cases of it. And there's one thing that I just kind of wanted to touch on here, because I've seen it in my comments a lot, which is, Lewis, I hate this word, the I word, you're an influencer. Why don't you use that to try to get more people to get vaccinated? As you can see from the videos that I've done, here I did a video about wearing masks where I'm absolutely more than happy to, and I explained why I think people should. I actually included about 60 or 70 scientific studies in here, not about how wearing a mask keeps you from getting COVID, but how wearing a mask will help prevent the spread of COVID. And I also got vaccinated over here. And I told everybody I got vaccinated, and I showed them, look, I got vaccinated. All you people are talking about how horribly I'm going to be deformed and blah, blah, blah. And here's me deadlifting over 300 pounds about 7 times before and after getting vaccinated. No problem. I have no problem with it. Here's the thing. People are going to do what they want to do. And if you think that people are going to put things in their body or not put things in their body, or they're going to change their behavior based on what I say, then I think you believe that the average person watching these videos is much more malleable than you think. I mean, again, I know people that have died of COVID that did not want to get the vaccine, that didn't get the vaccine, and it's horrible, and I grieve them. I know people that are some of my personal closest best friends that have no desire to get the vaccine. I tell them what I do, but they do what they do. I can't change what people do. I can't change people's minds. And honestly, it's not up to me to change people's minds. At this point, 17 months in, people are hardened in their beliefs. They're hardened in their opinions that they formed. And whether or not they trust public health officials is really outside the realm or the influence of a guy on YouTube that fixes MacBooks and records overpriced real estate. I did get vaccinated. I've looked at the... I was arguing this in Discord, actually, with someone just yesterday. They had pointed out on the Philosophy channel, there's more people who are anti-vaccine in there than I am, they brought up a study saying this is a risk of an adverse effect. And then I said, okay, that's cool, but it seems like you're 150 times more likely to die of COVID than to have this adverse effect, so I'm not really understanding it. And again, at the end of the day, people are not really looking to a MacBook repair person to choose what they put in their body or to choose how they go about living their lives. So I'm just mentioning this because I've seen this in my comments a few times, which is, why don't you push back, or why don't you do this, that, or the other? I mean, listen, I say what I do. I say what I'm willing to do. I say what I think makes sense. And then the people who watch this channel do what they want to do. If I can't convince my own best friend that he should consider this, then what chance do I have to convince random people that watch on YouTube that I don't even know outside of a memeing nickname and a funny avatar picture? But let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'm really, again, at last year, wear a mask, absolutely. Avoid parties, sure. Avoid restaurants and crowded places, why not? Try to get people to work from home, sure. Change the store layout so that people are far away when they come in, absolutely. Get a giant air filter, sure. Have everybody wear masks, makes sense. Get vaccinated, but once I've gotten COVID, beaten COVID, and been double vaccinated, at that point, if my phone tells me, stay home, I'm, again, like, no, I'm just 17 months in, I'm getting on with my life. And a lot of people are not particularly the type of people that are going to be okay saying that publicly, but their behavior appears to demonstrate that they are willing to take those actions. And as you can see from just this article over here, like, again, people may not be open to saying it publicly, but people's behavior appears to be speaking for themselves. And again, at the end of the day, like, let's say you actually do have a lockdown measure because you don't want the spread of COVID. When you have this many people in the street that are, like, 4 inches away from each other, standing elbow to elbow without none of them wearing a mask, like, at that point, it's like, what are you even doing? I mean, what are you doing? If there's going to be a lockdown that lasts for another month or 2 or 3 months, like, just this over here. And again, me personally, I think that if you do have a pandemic and you do want to get rid of it, this is not exactly the ideal behavior over here. This is not behavior that I'd particularly be taking part in. But, like, at this point, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't seem like it matters anymore. The virus is like virus here, like, you're not, I mean, you can't just pretend this didn't happen. And I want to be clear here. The reason I'm saying that at 17 months in, I'm over, is because if it started with a few weeks, then a few months, then maybe a year, once we're 17 months into this, if we're still talking about lockdowns, that means that there's no limiting principle. That means that, like, there really is no timeline or no end to this. And I'm not open to engaging in infinite lockdown. I'm not interested in it. Like, let's do this. Okay, we'll do the lockdown, and then once we've crushed the curve, then once it comes back, okay, another lockdown. Okay, we've crushed the curve. Okay, it came back, another lockdown. Oh shit, another variant, another lockdown. I'm not. In the beginning is one thing. 17 months in, like 17 months, because 1 week versus a year is a big difference. But 17 months is not really that far off from 30 months or 50 months or 90 months. And come 2027, I really don't want to be reading about how people should be considering yet another lockdown to stop the spread. I'm not interested in that. Once you've gotten this far from the beginning of the pandemic and we're still talking about stuff like that, it really does seem like, okay, when does it end? When everybody locks down and we have 0 cases. Yeah, but that's not going to happen. Well, what if we would just lock down harder? Yeah, but no. I don't know. Roast me in the comments down below. I know I'm going to get roasted for this. I live in the wrong place to have this opinion. But let me know what you think. That's it for today. And as always, I hope you learned something.